I love classic models, particularly aircraft. And while I have lots and lots of kits to build, there's one part of classic modeling that often gets forgotten, and that's scratch building. I don't do a lot of scratch building, but a number of years ago, I wanted to build a larger 1/16 scale remote controlled tank, and I wanted to do a British subject which hadn't been kitted by any of the manufacturers, a Crusader tank. So, I decided to scratch build one. Here's something a little different.
In this video, we're going to convert a 1/16 scale Russian T-34 into a British Mark III Crusader tank in 1/16 scale. We're converting the T-34 because it has a similar suspension system to the Crusader, a Christie suspension system, but it is different. As you can see, now that we've disassembled the T-34, its wheels are unevenly spaced with a 3 and 2 wheel configuration, whereas the Crusader's wheels were evenly spaced, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the first thing we need to do in the conversion of this tank. So, we've removed all the wheels in this shot. As you can see, there's a bit of cutting that needs to be done. Here, I've cut the plate along the side, slid it over, and reinforced it from behind with styrene. This gives it strength and also gives me the flexibility to move things around as I start to look at how the wheels fit in place on the chassis of the tank. Here we can see the wheels now evenly spaced, and the revised idler wheels and return wheels. Also, you'll notice that the tracks are different. These are tracks from a Henglong Panzer III, and they are similar in size and scale to the Crusader tracks. What this did mean, though, is that we needed to change the idler wheel. And here we can see it. It's a revised version of the T-34 wheel with teeth from a Henglong Panzer III idler wheel. A lot of conversion, not difficult to do, just time consuming. Then we had to get into actually building some of the elements of the tank. Here we see the turret. It's got a lot of different angles and a lot of different facets to it. It was built using typical box construction with plastic styrene. I did use elements of the T-34 though. Here is part of the turret ring that came from the T-34, and that was reinforced with milliput and styrene. Here you can see that we've put the wheel cover plates on and sprayed everything with Tamiya light sand. And I've started building the superstructure. The superstructure of the tank was built up using sheet styrene, crazy glue, and auto filler putty. As I built the tank, I kept referring to a set of plans that I had to make sure that I was getting the rough shapes and dimensions of the tank correct, though a lot of eyeballing was done in this scale. As you can see, the original turret ring from the T-34 is in place, and here it is mounted into the actual superstructure of the tank, the back of the tank all boxed in. It's looking pretty good at this point. With the major construction finished, I got into the details. I added handles, scribed panel lines, and added hundreds of tiny rivets by hand. These were cut from Plastruct hex rod, and each were individually attached using a little dab of crazy glue. It was crazy, but it looked cool. Here we see the tank with a coat of Tamiya surface primer before it goes to final paint. This showed up any flaws or imperfections that might have shown up through the building process. Overall, though, things were looking good. I was able to add the final details and get it ready for paint. After creating a quick tinfoil mask, I sprayed the entire tank with Tamiya desert sand. This is really easy to paint to work with, and it sprays great. I then used the shadow casting technique, where I sprayed thin lines of black and gray into the corners and some of the edges to really accentuate wear and oil buildup inside the tank and on the surface of the tank. It looks pretty ratty now, but when you spray it over with another layer of sand, all those shadows blend back, and it makes for a great effect. And it really looks like wear and oil and grime building up into the recesses of the tank. As you can see, it's a very subtle process, not that hard to do. I then gave the tank a light wash of dark gray and then picked out some of the details and chips in silver. I also added unit codes and other tactical codes that appeared on the tank. Overall, it looks great and really starts to look like a Crusader at this stage. Again, you can sort of see some of the details that went into the tank and into the building. And from the business end of the tank, it looks really, really good. The conversion process took about 8 months altogether, and this was the first conversion I've ever done in this scale. It wasn't difficult, it just took time. I kept the WSN electronics, which aren't particularly robust, but since this won't be an outdoor battling tank, it's a great runner for around the house. It does look great when it runs. I am looking forward to doing other conversions off of the T-34 chassis because there were a lot of tanks during World War II that used Christie suspension system. Hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun to build.